Can you hear me?
Yeah. You hear me?
Perfect. Yep, I got you here. Yep.
Man, my eyes are watering. You know, my eyes start to get dry at night. Just for the audience to know, we're recording at 10 p.m. PST, which is 1 a.m. EST. This is the late. I don't think anyone records this late. I got to tell you, Boston, do you know that people that have the night shift, they live 5 years less on average?
Really, I did not know that. No.
Yeah, that's the reason not to be nocturnal when you get older. When I was younger, I
Guess
used to.
guess what time I went to bed yesterday?
What time?
8 a.m.
My God, this is
Yeah.
But what about your son though? Then does your son sleep slightly later at night?
No, no, he's up early, but when I all my waking hours is with my family, and then I work when they're asleep.
Yeah, but you gotta regulate your sleep anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so guys, I just want to say that because I want to apologize if I'm a bit slow or not as excitable today. But we have some cool things. By the way, for the audience to know, there's a very exciting arm wrestling match. Oh crap! This will be out probably later than it comes out, but it's this Sunday. It's maybe the strongest American guy versus that Hulk, the Levan guy. I don't know if you've seen this guy that got huge. I've shown you him
Wait,
before.
Durant?
Who's Durant? Levan
No.
Saginashvili, not
Oh,
Devon.
okay, okay, I never heard. Not
Not
Devin.
Devon, another guy that's similar to Devon, Dave Chaffee. It's very
Okay.
exciting. And then, I wanted to tell you,
When's the fight? When's the fight with Devin, Laurent, and then Eddie? I mean,
uh, I think in a few months.
okay.
I don't know. He's training for it. He's updating on his channel. Apparently, he measured his wingspan, and he only measures 6'2" because the arm doesn't extend fully. He's like 6'6"
Is it MMA or is it
or
or is it
6'4".
boxing? Is it MMA or boxing?
I think it's boxing. So
Who do
that's
you
what
have?
that.
Who do you have winning?
I don't know. I think I was saying on another podcast. I think if it was MMA, he would win, but because he's just like a literally trained like a killer, like he's a what do they call it, special forces team leader actually. But I don't know about boxing. How can you beat the guy? Hafthor's been training longer.
Yeah.
His reach is way longer. I mean, if you can't extend your arm fully, it becomes way difficult. I would
Yeah.
assume, but hopefully he wins. I'm on his side. Who are you rooting for?
I I uh, I don't know them at all. I don't know them personally at all. So I just want to watch the fight. I don't really even care who wins or loses.
Yeah. So actually, speaking of fighters, I had Chris Leben on the show today. Do you know who he is?
No, I don't think so.
He's a legendary MMA fighter. I was surprised to know that he knows our show. He's watched our show and he was watched the channel before. So it was a very, very good interview. Actually, when I was talking to him, I didn't get to talk about PEDs much yet, but he's gonna come back on. But I realized he was caught once for using Winstrol,
Oh
and
wow.
apparently Winstrol is very popular with
Did you
fighters.
bring that up? Did you bring that up in the interview?
Yeah, he told me. I asked him why Winstrol? Were you just using Winstrol? He said yeah, by itself. And he said that fighters like it because they don't gain too much water weight because their issue is the weight division.
I just feel like it would be horrible on the joints.
I know, that's what I told him. I was surprised. But it's
Yeah.
interesting that they do use that. Okay, so you wanted to review North Americans, which let's explain to the audience. That's one of, you said, the 3 amateurs that give out pro cards every year,
Well,
right?
yeah, you got the North Americans where anyone in the world could enter. You could live in Canada, you could live in another country and enter. And then
Oh,
you got nationals and USAs where you have to be a US citizen. Um,
interesting. I didn't
but
know.
Leo, I say this every show because it's true. This so far has been the weakest national show I have ever seen, especially in the super heavyweight class and the light heavyweight class.
But Boston,
The heavyweight class was decent. The
I
light
tried
heavy,
I tried
huh?
to get all the pictures, but there's so many competitors and there's no comparison
Yeah,
show.
no, there's no way. There's no way. They do have comparisons, but I just wanted to mention a few things about the show. But yeah, which place is this
Oh,
guy?
do you want to look through? So these are, tell me what you want to look through. I have the light heavies, the heavies, and the super heavies, and the overall winner.
Yeah, we'll start with the
The
light
top three
heavyweight.
of each.
Let's start with the light heavyweights. Then.
So this guy got third, Anthony Deherrera. Oh, he looks like he's in his
Yeah,
30s.
See, this guy looks decent.
Yeah. Oh, he looks decent.
He's not great, but he's decent.
Okay, let's see. Oh, there are two Arabs there. Kareem. Oh, he's not Arab. Maybe he's Arab.
Ooh, that midsection's a little washy. Yeah, he's okay.
He's okay, just watery in the front,
His
huh?
midsection, he's holding a film of water.
These guys look a little bit. I thought they'd be in their 20s.
Dude, everyone was sending me pictures of this guy. I can't believe this guy won.
I'm very surprised. Yeah.
Go to that back shot.
What?
Look at this.
Oh, but
That
the
is
third,
insane. I don't know how this guy got rewarded with first place with that conditioning. I don't know. They must have messed up or something. People have been sending me this guy all day long.
but the thing is, Anthony looked better than that, right?
I had this out of all three of them. I think this guy looks the best out of all three of them.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sorry to say that because he seems like he might be Persian, but I like to give the Arab bias. But so Dominic Triveline, this is the
This guy
class.
thought he was winning after prejudge. They had him in the middle.
Oh wow,
This guy's good. This guy's good. The heavyweight class was good. They had this guy in the middle, right?
yeah,
Oh, he's not even in the pose there.
yeah, he's not in the pose. That's a bad picture.
They had him in the middle, and somehow he ended up in third.
He looks insane from here, from the back. This is incredible.
The hamstrings.
Yeah, the hamstrings are crazy. I
Now
guess
go to the second place guy. This guy was really fucking muscular, but he didn't know how to pose. Look, he doesn't know how to pose.
why does he pose like this?
I don't know, but if he knew how to pose, he could have won.
Bro, this is I usually wouldn't make fun of posing because I don't find posing cool, but this is very funny. This is a funny way to pose. Like, I'm here.
Yeah, horrible.
And one side is
Look, even this, he's so high up on his side chest.
Okay, I'm not making fun of him, but it's a little funny though, honestly.
I don't know how this guy got second posing like that. Look, this guy is in shape. He's in very good
The
shape.
back double he posed fine. Maybe
Yeah.
he's just not in the shot in these ones.
No, he was in the shot. I saw some of the comparisons.
But he's a great physique though, right? Oh, look at that. He has a very thick back actually. It's pretty thick.
Oh yeah, dude. If this guy knew how to pose, he probably would have won. Okay, Leo.
Huh.
This is the most overrated kid in the fucking NPC ever.
Who is he?
I don't know why they favor this guy. His name is Eric Wood. I don't know why they favor him. He has a little bit of gyno going on.
Oh wow. What's going on
He's
here?
watery as fuck. This is his worst showing I've ever seen. And they gave him first place, but it looked like after prejudge they didn't have him at first. But he's buddies with the promoter, Gary Udit. Gary Udit is the head expediter for this show.
I mean,
This
he's
guy
not
should have beat him.
but this guy looks better.
This guy should have beat him.
He looks better.
It was complete bullshit. And I'm not even a fan of this kid's physique.
No, but he looks better.
But I'm telling you, he's better than that kid. But yeah.
Super heavies, you said, were weak as well.
This is so embarrassing that this guy got third. So this is Hunter's training partner and trainer, Hunter Labrada. This guy does Hunter's nutrition and he trains with him. Dude, for this to place third at a national show is pathetic.
In terms of conditioning, right?
Conditioning.
I mean, yeah, his conditioning's off, right? What is he? Do you think he's holding also fat, or is it just water?
He has some fat on him too, because you can tell by his glutes.
Oh, okay. Is that? Yeah, he's well developed though, but he's not good.
Yeah, no, he has a lot of muscle on him. This guy, Leo, I got a funny story about this guy.
Huh.
He promised me he wouldn't show up with soggy glutes. Okay, he promised me. He was soggy as fuck from the back. Like, Leo, he didn't turn around once. His hamstrings are crazy, right?
I don't have the back picture.
No, you know why? He didn't turn around once the whole time for his routine.
That's hilarious. But
he told me he wasn't going to come on stage with soggy glutes. But look, he looks great from the front, right?
Yeah, he's very separated.
Leo, his back shots are horrendous.
Really?
Horrendous.
Why have you been ripping on him for the soggy glute thing?
No, because he's been bringing soggy glutes to the stage since like 2012.
What the hell? That's a funny way to say.
Dude, that guy's never been in shape. He even worked with Hani Rambod and he was never peeled. Oh,
that's unusual. So this guy won the super heavies.
Yeah, this is the weakest super winner I've ever seen in my life. He's really he looks like a heavyweight. Would you agree?
Yeah. Is he tall? Maybe he's tall.
No, he's not tall. He's not that tall.
Oh wow, weird. His tricep looks a little odd here.
It does look odd. His whole arms look odd.
Yeah, that's true. Well, he did his best. He's in condition, right?
No. He needs to be a lot tighter. But this is the weakest super I've ever seen in my life. Well, for the win. I mean,
does every one of them win a pro card?
He wins a pro card. The guy that wins the heavyweights and then the light heavyweight and the middleweights. They give out 4 pro cards. So the middleweight, the light heavyweight. By the way, the middleweight was in probably the best shape of the whole show.
Oh, I just
But
didn't look at the
yeah,
middleweights.
the
Oh.
guy that won the middleweight was probably the best shape of the whole show. Middleweight, light heavyweight. So what they do is they take the top 4 in the overall, and obviously it's usually the middle, light heavy, heavy, and super.
Wait, actually, that's a good point. I didn't see who won the overall. Wait, 1 second. Do you know who won it? Which guy?
Yeah, the Eric Wood guy, the guy that I
Oh,
told you.
Eric Wood did win the overall?
It's insane.
Oh, wow. Oh, shocking. Okay. What the hell? That seems a little political.
It's political, dude. I'm telling you, he's buddies with Gary Udit.
That's
and they didn't even have him at first at prejudge. It's completely political.
That's a little suspect. So listen, another thing that's been going on is a lot of bodybuilders have been dying, like in the last couple of weeks. Older guys, young people. I just see the stories on Instagram, and then
do
also.
Do you think people die more than we think, and they're just never posted?
I think it might be the flu thing that's going around for the. I was on Mark Bell's podcast yesterday, and he told me that they call it the flu, so his channel doesn't get censored. So I'm gonna start calling it that. Although I then proceeded to call it the, that other word. But anyway, so I think it might.
Have we got any videos deleted, Leo? Me and you?
No, we haven't, and we always talk about. I don't know. Maybe they made me paranoid. But I think that might be a little bit of it. That guy who did die, I forgot his name, Matt Mendenhall. He didn't get a pro card.
No, yeah. He was. They say he was the best bodybuilder to never go pro.
It's crazy that all of these 4 guys get one and that guy didn't. It's crazy how things have changed. I wonder if
that's why when I tell my dad, Leo, when I tell my dad about like the bodybuilding these days, like and how many pro cards are given out, he doesn't even believe me. He's like, "There's no way."
You could easily turn pro, now it's
crazy.
It's even less competitive than 2013 14.
Oh, way less competitive. Every year it gets less competitive, and I think a lot of it has to do with that classic division.
Oh, pulling away talent.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so we have to talk about another thing. Ben Chow. So what did you want to say about so let's first introduce this. Last podcast we got 2 questions about Ben Chow, which we've gone for a long time. I forgot to ask them. So I asked, first I actually didn't know what we were asking about. Someone just said roast him, and the other one said something about his pirate thing. So I found this funny. So I brought it up. Now, just for the audience to know, Ben is a close friend of Fuad, who's my nemesis. And so because Fuad's my nemesis, and a couple of Fuad's friends had said something nasty about me on their show, I associated Ben with it and thought Ben had. For no reason. I just assumed so. So I found it even funnier that the person said pirate or whatever, because he's it's like my arch rival and it's his friend, and I thought he talked bad about me. So anyway, Bostin answered the question, and I thought it was funny, so I clipped it. The only reason I clipped it, I thought it was funny. I didn't think we were being mean or personal or anything like that.
It wasn't personal, but people are sensitive. You got a bunch of people coming on from the Fuad podcast that were defending him, but I got a lot of emails and messages myself saying, dude, thank God you called that guy out because he needed to get called out. I got a lot of people messaging me happy that they're like, man, I thought I was the only one that thought that. I'm like, no, man, everyone thinks that. But obviously you had everyone, from that tribe of people come and comment. But I thought that was funny.
They were very angry. And so I started blocking them because some of them have not been following the channel for a long time. So they don't know why I don't like Fuad. They think it's just because he obviously doesn't. Anyway, so I wanted to mention Ben. What happened was in the comment section, I responded to one of the comments saying, Ben has talked about me. And so it's just a fair game or something like that. And Ben saw, someone sent that comment to him. Ben saw it.
Reading the comments, huh?
yeah, he screenshotted my comment and sent it to Ben. So Ben messaged me on Instagram and said, hey, I just wanted you to know I'm completely okay with you guys making fun, or it doesn't bother me, but I wanted you to know I haven't ever said anything bad about you. I don't get involved in that stuff. So I was like, oh, really? So I talked to him a little bit. He's a very nice guy. I understand now why everyone's so protective of him. The guy is so sweet. You talk to him a little bit, you're like, oh, man, he's such a nice guy. So I want to apologize to Ben. I never knew that you didn't say something bad about him.
He's definitely very nice. I mean, we've talked several times. He's nice, but he's
very nice. Yeah.
Delusional. But the thing is with the
no, he's very critical on himself, too. He doesn't say Nick Walker stuff.
He says he's critical on himself because he knows, but but the way
psychoanalysis,
the way he posts tells you otherwise, big time. But I don't know. Okay. I thought it was funny though that everyone was like, "Oh, he looks better than you. Why are you talking shit?" I was so close to going to my old show.
I know.
And pulling up his photos versus mine and doing like a crope and just
shut people up. But that's because what they say, but he wouldn't say that. I doubt he'd say that. Yeah, that's a stupid call. I saw that a lot. Yeah, anyway, so we'll leave that aside. But it's pretty interesting. He's not delusional, but the Arnold is coming up, and Nick Walker has promised that he's going to win the Arnold.
Did he
So
say that?
he said he's going to win the Arnold and win the Olympia. He said both.
Wow.
So I was thinking about this because I just interviewed an arm wrestler, and we are talking about in arm wrestling. There's a character who's also quite similar to that. His name is Ryan Bowen. He just posted on Facebook that he's going to become the world's his division's greatest arm wrestler in 5 years, and the overall in 10 years. Which I'm not against. I'm friends with Ryan, but he's funny, sometimes when he says these things. So anyway, back to the Arnold. Do you think you said he's not going to come in the top 5 in the Olympia? You said he might come in the top 5 in the Arnold.
He might be top 5 at the Arnold. Cedric McMillan just backed out.
Yeah.
He definitely will not be top. I have like 6 bets right now that he won't be top 5 at the Olympia.
No, I don't think he can. If you think about it, I counted a little bit. There's Nathan DeAsha, who I don't think he can beat. No. Then there's a few other people. Yeah, it's pretty.
No, he won't place top 5. But that's what I'm gonna. It's an easy payday for me. But I don't think he'll place top 3 at the Arnold.
But it's pretty interesting. I don't know if
What place would he be happy with?
I think he would be upset if. Well, no, he would be happy with top 3. I think inside, but he wouldn't admit it. Because if you get top 3, you beat a lot of people there. Yeah,
because isn't Ian doing it too?
Yeah, that means he beats Ian and he beats the guy from Texas. What's his name? Steve Kuklo. And he beats Akeem. Because who would it be? It would be Bonac and then Akeem. Who would be second?
Yeah, Akeem looks good. How about Bonac?
Is Hadi in it?
No.
Oh.
There's some guys though. I saw the list. So Leo, ever since we started doing this podcast, like it feels like a year ago now. I don't even know. Have you gotten more involved in bodybuilding?
I feel like I know a lot of, and people sometimes say this is a good, sometimes nice people say this is the best bodybuilding channel. I'm like, it's not a bodybuilding channel, but we just have segments on it. But yeah, I have gotten more into it. Not that I could ever do it myself, but I appreciate a lot of the intricacies. Because you know how I got into it originally? Powerlifters don't talk about drugs much. So to learn about how to use drugs, I had to go on the bodybuilding forums. And then to learn about nutrition, I had to go to bodybuilding too, because like the strength sports don't have that. But I never was into like the on-stage part. And every week I learn a lot from you. Anyway, let's take some questions because we have some interesting ones, beginning with one that I found very interesting. So Itamar Levan says something sort of opposing what the movement is in bodybuilding now. He says, my question is, do you think judging should stop promoting muscle shape and just instead focus on size, proportion, and conditioning? What he's saying is, the reason I ask this is I find it a bit annoying that someone can be bigger, leaner, and more proportioned than anyone on the show and still lose because of his or her muscle shape and insertions, which obviously you can't change or train for, and it's 100% genetic. And obviously genetics plays a role in everything in bodybuilding, but size, conditioning, and proportions you can change and train for. Like, I guess he's talking about someone like Keon, how Keon won, not in condition, or how...
Yeah, I guess that'd be a good example, because usually they don't reward somebody... Usually they'll reward somebody who's a little softer that has really good structure. But as far as muscle shape, muscle shape structure, let's combine them. Let's say they're around the same thing. They do reward that even if the guy's softer, which I do agree with this guy. If somebody's not in shape, it shouldn't be rewarded. Like if a Keon Pearson is against that guy, like that Arab guy that took second to him,
yeah, for example,
they should give it to the guy that's in great condition, the Arab guy, every time, because he's peeled. He's in great shape. He had good structure. I mean, you saw how small that Arab guy's waist was. But yeah, I could see that.
Also, I wonder about something. When you're not as conditioned, whatever it is, low body fat, low water, your muscle looks different. Like some people, if they're like, for example, Dennis James used to be famous for his off-season pictures. Some people, when they're less conditioned, they look way better than when they get conditioned. So in the gym or whatever, but like if you change the grading criteria to where people could be a bit fat on stage, some people will just be way bigger than other people.
Leo, that's what I thought. I initially thought that. You remember that post that Jake Wood, one of the guys, said he was going to talk with Jim Mannion and about making conditioning not a priority. After that post, I didn't think it would ever happen, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm seeing the North Americans yesterday, and they're rewarding the guys that are a little softer.
That's
and
true.
I'm like, that's fucking weird. I'm like, I wonder if that was real. Like, I wonder if they actually did that, because I thought there's no way that would ever go through. But like, for that guy to win the overall and be watery like that and not even be in great shape.
But he didn't have great muscle shape either, though. It looked more.
No, he didn't have great muscle shape. Well, they favor that guy anyways. They always have.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, if he's peeled, he looks good. But he wasn't even peeled. And like the guy that won the light heavyweight class, oh my God, he was way out of shape.
Mika says, why is there a trend of running the minimal effective dosages in order to avoid the use of AIs? That leads only to compromising the endogenous production of testosterone. What he means is, if you don't use an AI, you have high estradiol, so your balls get smaller, basically. What's your thoughts, Leo, about combining, for example, anastrozole and tamoxifen and taking advantage of each different pathway? Thank you guys for your time. So I think I just wanted to mention this because I think that taking a SERM like Novadex or Clomid, long term, the risk on your eyes is too dangerous. So you've heard about that, Boston? People get eye floaters when they go on them for long term.
I only have my clients run the Novadex for 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, I know, before contest or something, right? Yeah, but I used to use Novadex off season when I had a bit of gyno and I hadn't had it removed, and that's the biggest concern, the ocular stuff. So I'd rather not do that personally. And I think that people don't want to use a lot of AIs because they think AIs are bad. They haven't watched my videos on it. Go to the channel, search SERMs and AIs or aromatase inhibitor. You'll see a couple of videos on it. You realize they're not bad for you.
There's guys that go on these podcasts and they talk about how bad anti-estrogens are and how you want high estrogen. But the same guys that preach that, their clients are all bloated, out of shape, acne everywhere. Like, you got to control estrogen. Like, you have to.
So that's a couple of notes. So some people say AIs are bad. Some people say you want estrogen high, and some people say both. What I'm saying is you may want estrogen high for your health reasons. Probably not for bodybuilding. Even though people say IGF-1 and all that, it's probably not very helpful, at least not on season. And the second is AIs are not inherently bad for you by themselves, Okay, so
who loves anti-estrogens? The two coaches love anti-estrogens, and they're probably, you could say, they're the top coaches. Hani Rambod, one of them, and Chad Nichols loves anti-estrogens, even in the off season. Even in the off season, yes.
Really?
A lot of guys use letrozole in the off season.
Wow, those are the two best coaches in my opinion overall in history. So that's very interesting.
They use them all the time.
Okay, so Small Bowman says how to manage acne and gear, or any tips at all. He's trying to stay away from Accutane so he can bodybuild efficiently. I thought what we could say is, I don't know much about acne, and I think I should refer people to Steve, who has a lot of issues with acne. Vigorous Steve, he probably has videos on it. But one thing is obviously hygiene. The second thing is there's a topical Accutane that won't interfere with your bodybuilding. If you use Tretinoin like on your face, you know Tretinoin, Boston? You used it before?
No, I've never.
Oh, you've never used it? You've used Accutane before?
No, I've never had any acne.
Yeah, I don't get much acne either, but I wanted to let people know Tretinoin is not going to get in the way of your bodybuilding. Accutane is very liver toxic, so it's going to have serious effects.
I've had a couple clients use Accutane, but always when they're on a cruise, never when they're on other stuff.
And did they use low doses, or did they do like a course of like 4
No, we killed it and it never came back. We did like 60 to 80 milligrams.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So that's the high dose. The problem with that is studies show that it causes mutation of DNA. So it's actually teratogenic at those high doses, even though it's a vitamin A derivative. Okay, so we were talking about this earlier. Official Omar says early Olympia predictions. Open 212 Classic. Actually, I want to talk about 212. Who do you think is going to win the 212? Because this is pretty interesting, right? I noticed something when I was interviewing Jose recently. So Kamal El-Garni won the Olympia the year before last. Then he got better, actually, and then won the last year's one. Got better and lost last year to this freak of nature who just improved so much all of a sudden, who was Sean Clarida.
You interviewed Jose Raymond?
Yeah, this a few days ago.
Oh, I need to watch that.
It didn't come out yet. I'll let you know when it comes out. But did you watch the one with Bonac?
Yeah, I like that one, yeah.
He's cool, right?
But then right after he hired Abdullah, so that was kind of weird.
Yeah, I asked him about it. Yeah. But he's a very honest guy, very straight up. Yeah, in private and also public. He really impressed me actually. Anyway, the point is, who do you think is gonna? Do you think he's gonna win again, Sean Clarida, or do you think Kamal or Derek Lunsford can win?
Sean Clarida is not going to win again. I don't think he will ever win again. No, I do not. I do not think.
Who do you think is gonna overtake him? Keon, or there's a few interesting.
I can't stand the ego on Derek Lunsford. I mean, the guy is like out of his mind. But he's working with Hani now.
It's true.
Hani is the best.
That's true.
He's big as a house. And if Hani does what Hani does, Derek's in the front running to win that show 100%. But
that's such a good point.
If Derek has to over diet to get down to 212 and he looks even the tad stringy and the other guys are full, he's screwed, you know? Is Kamal doing it again?
But Kamal is doing it. But listen, but if Derek is stringy and still in shape, because he's never been like that. He's never been stringy and in shape. He's always bloated. He's bloated and...
But he's never been peeled, yeah.
If he's peeled, his shape is so good and he's so much wider than all of them. I would assume he may still get it.
Yeah, no, you're right. If he's like 90%, he might win. But the problem is he was like 70% when he last year.
Exactly.
They've been saying he's going to win for 3 years now, and he can't pull it together. He just can't put it together.
Okay, another question. Classic physique. Can Terrence Ruffin stay second?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you see, I know these people's names now. It's very interesting.
Who else is going to beat him?
Because there's this Lord something.
Lord Jones.
With the hat, with the hair on the top. There's Lord Jones. His name is Brian Jones, right? So there's Lord Jones. Then there's the guy who just beat Logan Franklin. So those two are... no, I don't know his name. You know what I'm talking about. The guy who Milo says is natural.
Oh, Robert Tiggs.
Yeah. So there's him and...
He's good.
Yeah, so there's those two. So I know Terrence is a great poser, but I assume that at some point they're going to overtake him. But I don't know if it's this year or next year.
If that Steve Larrat guy ever came in shape, he could beat him.
He would just win. He would just win if he came in shape. That guy's arms are as wide as his belly.
Dude, Phil Viz, I got it. Every time that this subject brings up, because everyone's sending me a shit. He had a client doing North Americans that he was just hyping up big time.
Yeah.
Hyping up. He texted me. He's like, bro, his glutes are dug out and all this shit. And I'm like, this guy is soggy as fuck. Like, don't give me that. This guy, I call the kid. His name is Ben Huge. I call him the king of sog. And dude, he steps on stage like out of shape. Like the kid has potential. He has a small waist. He has good muscle bellies.
Wait, was he volunteering the information to you, like texting you, like, "Hey, this guy's really in shape," or were you asking, "Is the guy in shape?" And he was like, "Yeah, he's in shape."
I was asking me, and he's like, "Oh, the kid's dug out." And he shows up on stage out of shape, and the kid has potential. He has really good muscle bellies, really good shape, small waist. But man, he was out of shape. He was all spilled. The guy wasn't even in I think he was on or something.
I wish I could make more fun of Spill, but the problem is Phil Clahar. You can't. He has this one guy who probably has nothing to do with Spill, probably not listening to him, I bet, and just doing. He just seems like such a hard worker, Phil Clahar. So I bet, but the problem is he got him. It was multiple times beautifully in shape.
Hey, it is harder though. I'll tell you what, because I work with some black guys. It is harder to spill a black guy. Like you have to be a real retard. Like you have to.
But Phil was in perfect condition.
Yeah, you have to do some crazy.
But he was in perfect condition though.
Yeah, but you know what it is, Leo, is you're always gonna have that one client where you throw a bunch of shit at the wall and it'll stick. You know what I mean?
I think that's his one.
All of his clients are shit after that, and it's like, dude, and honestly, I'll give Phil this. Back in 2014, 15, Phil's clients actually were coming in good shape. Then he got all crazy in his mind doing all these crazy scientific protocols and all this shit. I saw his peak week protocol one time and I'm like, dude, what the fuck is this? He was like, oh, I stopped doing that. Dude, he just makes stuff up in his head and puts it on paper. And I think what happened was he started out simple and he was doing good. And then he kept wanting to get better, but he actually kept getting worse because he kept making shit up in his head that thought he was gonna dial these guys in better, all this shit.
They're not scientific, they're just OCD complications. He just complicates the issue with minutes and exactly. All right, so but for the Olympia, so I don't want to make predictions, but who do you think is gonna win? Rami again is gonna win, just the top 3 maybe or something like that. This is the question, right? So
Rami winning.
I don't know if you know this, but last year I got 5 out of 5 top 5 in the Olympia. I got them all right in order.
In order, really?
Yeah. So I am very lucky with that one thing. So I'm hoping it comes up again. But listen, this is my thought, right? I think that what's his name? The guy in Kuwait that has no legs or had no legs.
Brandon.
I think that Brandon should be brought down. I think that Hadi should be higher than Brandon, and maybe someone else. But I think that they won't do that. So I think it'll be Rami, Brandon, and then Hadi, and then Bonac.
Hadi has some obvious synthol use going on this year. It looks like even more so than last year. So yeah, give me your top 5. I'll give you mine.
So yeah, I think that they're gonna give it to Rami, and then what's his name again? Brandon,
Okay.
Brandon, and then Hadi, and then Bonac.
That's 4.
Yeah, the fifth one is hard to. Who next though? Then it gets really complicated.
Well, my top 4 is your top 4. Rami.
Oh yeah.
Brandon. Hadi. Bonac. Bonac could beat Hadi. If Bonac is 100% peeled and Hadi's a little off, Bonac will beat him. Yeah. But I'm gonna go with that. So.
But the problem is Hadi's already in the country.
I'll throw in a 5th place too.
That's where it gets tricky. Yeah, 5 and 6.
So, So Rami, what's called Brandon, Hadi, Bonac, 5th place. I'm gonna go with.
It's very tricky once it gets there. That's where the number gets funky.
I'm gonna go out on a limb because I know who's coaching Akeem Williams now. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Akeem will be in 5th.
So that's what I was thinking. It's Akeem, but there are.
Because I know his coach now. He fired Justin, which was the best thing he would have ever done. Because he gave Justin one shot. Justin blew it.
He hasn't announced to his coaches, right?
Justin, I'm going to get the last thing. Not Justin Harris. Justin Harris, not him. He was working with Justin Miller.
Yeah.
So I want people to realize, because when I say Justin, they're automatically going to think Justin Harris.
But you didn't consider Rolly.
Not after what I saw him in Tampa.
Oh no, sorry. There's another. That's who I was missing. Why is it's really late at night? Nathan Deherrera. That's who I would think. I would think he would be 5th. Yeah, I would think.
All right, so you're gonna go with him 5th.
Okay, that's what. But I'm not sure about the 5th one. But that's my prediction of what will happen.
That's a good choice, though. That's a good choice.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, if you would have said Nathan, I would have laughed at that, because you remember he was telling us he was going to place top 3 a couple years ago, and he ended up getting he was in the second call out.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good choice based on what I've seen of him this year. But I wouldn't sleep on Akeem, because I know his coach now, and I know what he's capable of.
I'd love to see a comparison between Brandon and Nathan Deherrera, because Brandon's main call to fame is that incredible waist, but Nathan has the exact.
They train at the same gym. They work with the same team.
Yeah, but I don't think they pose together. But I would love to see, because I bet Nathan is now, because he's a lot bigger. I bet he can compare with him in size. He's a bit taller. And I bet he even has a better waist compared to him. So I bet if he gets the...
And dude, you could have a surprise. You could have a guy like Steve Kukla, who's never comes in really crisp, come in fucking peeled.
He's not invited.
No, it was...
Oh, to the Arnold you're talking about? Yeah, he's not... There's a lot of people that are not going to be...
So he would have to place 2nd or 3rd at the Arnold.
Apparently it's 1st. They're not giving it... Did they say top 3?
Wow, so maybe you're right.
Yeah, but so there's people going to the Arnold that are not going to the Olympia, like him. Actually, we didn't talk about that. So Cedric left decided not to compete, but then days later, now Nick Strength and Power is saying that he switched from Redcon to Black Skull, which is Lee's old company.
Black Skull?
Yeah, you know Black Skull?
I don't know why anyone would sponsor Cedric, and it was a big thing. Everyone got on Aaron's case when they found out that he's sponsored. Because he does no promotion. He's never on Instagram. He does no promotion. So everyone was like, that was a bad move. So Aaron probably dropped him, huh?
I wonder if he did. What people are thinking is that maybe Cedric got upset about the Arnold comments.
Oh, was this recent?
Yeah, this Nick Strength and Power made a video today. Yeah. It's very interesting. All right.
Redcon probably told him that they didn't want him to go to the show.
What do you think is going to happen with Sergio Oliva at the Arnold? Just him, because it's hard to.
I think he's overrated, man. I really do.
Well, he's one of the most overrated.
Yeah, but I think he's one of the most overrated bodybuilders right now in the pro market.
But everybody says you have to meet him, and then in person he's huge. He also says this in interviews.
I've met him in person. He's not huge. I've met him in person.
Okay, I was just wondering.
I feel like I'm like 4 inches taller than him. He's not big.
Okay, that's no. So the thing is, when I looked at his physique,
I heard that on Fuad's podcast. They're the only people saying that.
No,
shit.
he says it on his own interviews. That's where I've heard it. He says it in interviews.
Yeah, but you can't listen to him. Like, come on. Now, he has good quads. I'll give him that. But I mean,
he has two good quads and good forearms. He does have good forearms, but they're so good actually. He has no arm separation whatsoever. With like a low % body fat, you can't see his shoulder here. You can't see his tricep. It's like, sometimes I tell my wife, because I'm researching this stuff to talk to you about it, and I'm like, this guy shouldn't be a bodybuilder. I don't know how he became one.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't have his dad's genetics. That's for
people
sure.
have him being like top 3 and stuff, which
I would be shocked, Leo, if he beat Nathan.
Yeah, I would be really shocked. Yeah, really.
That would be political. No, but people have him, dude. People have him like 3rd and 5th, like you said. Some people have him that high.
Some people think he's gonna win. Yeah, beyond that, there are people that think he's gonna win. All right, let's move to another one. So, Jordan X2 always comments. He says, "I want to try my first oral on top of test. The goal is to put on as much muscle as possible, but planning on only taking it 3 to 4 days a week pre-workout and use it over a longer span of weeks," which I think is a good idea. He was thinking either Anadrol or Superdrol, but open to any other suggestions. What would you guys go for? Previous cycles have only been tests and gains were great. So
Anadrol, 100%.
Anadrol over super. I would not. I tried the Superdrol once, as the guy listeners know. That thing is very serious. There's no need to do it. Anadrol. Yeah, Anadrol is such an effective medication. It's like really beautiful. I don't think you can really beat it. And also, I would like to mention, I think that maybe since he's never tried an oral before, he may find that Anavar or Turinabol, which I haven't tried Turinabol, but you say it's like the Anabol without the estradiol effects, huh?
Well, he gave us 2 choices. That's why I said Anadrol. If it was his first oral, I would recommend Anavar.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm gonna take it sublingually and take it 3, just like he planned. The Angry Lamont says, "I have 0 sex drive at the moment." He's using 1,500 units of HCG every other day and 10 milligrams of Clomid Monday to Friday.
What 10 milligrams? That ain't going to do anything.
Yeah, I don't understand. Fertility doc prescribed it. Okay, we need to have this guy. He says, "We're trying to conceive another baby, but doesn't help much if there's 0 desire. I'm off all anabolics at the moment, not even TRT." So we can assume this guy was on some kind of anabolics before, so he had a high androgen load and normal sex drive that adjusts to that. And then whatever you're taking in terms of your total androgens in your body right now, the HCG 1,500 units, which is a microdose. They don't really use that in studies, by the way. As Bostin, you use 5,000 sometimes. Yeah. The studies range between 2,500 to 5,000 units every other day. So that's the first solution. You don't have enough androgens and your body's already probably acclimated to a higher level. You still won't have the sex drive you might have on 2 grams of test. But first of all, you need to get the HCG to the right dose. Second of all, the Clomid you're using, all the studies use 50 milligrams.
50 milligrams, yeah.
Always, all the studies. So that's really weird. And why would it be Monday to Friday? You're not a woman, and you don't have to do it just certain days per month.
I took Clomid yesterday, Leo, at 50 mgs, and Ariella just told me my balls are bigger.
Really? In a day? That's great. That's great. You should get enclomiphene sometime. It's apparently more effective. Okay, so another thing we want to mention is, for your sex drive, brother, that something that won't harm your sex drive is adding FSH, which I've been talking to Bostin about recently. There's something called recombinant FSH. On the forum, there's a guy called Anabolic Pharmacist. Recombinant FSH, the folotropin alpha, it comes in a pen like GH. You just get an insulin needle that you attach to the pen, and then it's really easy to use. You can set it to 25 units to 75 units every other day. If you're trying to have a child, the dose is 75 units. That adds a lot of sex drive, surprisingly. You'd be surprised.
And how do you inject it? You just hit the top?
Yeah, it's really easy. You have the needle in now, like a GH pen. You just set it to the number, and then you just press the top, and you just inject it in fat. So because you're injecting in fat, the needle's not going to wear out. So Bostin gets to keep his needle for a year. He loves to keep needles.
So the recommended dose on that is 75 IU every other day?
The fertility dose is 75. But if you're doing like a hormone replacement, maybe you want to do 25 or something.
Every other day or every other day?
Every other day, just like HCG. The same day you do it. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I hope that'll help him a little bit. There's other things you could do, but just raising the dose of HCG and FSH should work. So Shroff Zyker says, how to use stem cells as a strength. Okay, these are all a little bit academic. I'll skip these for right now. Tubecast says, Bostin, what's your opinion on Doug Brignole's training methods? Have you seen the...
I don't know who that guy is. A couple of people asked me. I got to watch the podcast you did with him. What's his deal?
You should actually watch the first one I did with him. It was pretty interesting. The part about lats was really interesting. Basically, he talks about how to do movements that stress. He's into physics, and he's into the physics of how your exercise affects your muscle. So not the biology of it, but just the physics. So he's about like, how should you position, like when you do a bicep curl, the first half of the bicep curl, depending on like this top part, you're not getting much resistance because of gravity, because your pillar is your whatever it's called is vertical, and here in the middle part you get the most tension. So he talks about like how to get
half reps everything.
No, so what he does is like do different movements where you can get the like cables, for example, you get tension the whole time. So that's what he talks about. But I think
does he have a good physique?
Yeah, he's 60 years old, natural, and he has a pretty good physique for being that. He's been natural his whole life.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually, and his book is actually really well written. He's a cool guy. He's a very cool guy. Okay, so Angsty, I want to hear what Bostin says about this. Angsty Wolf says, cosmetically, do certain compounds make certain parts of the physique pop more, or is that an old wives' tale? Example, an older bodybuilder at a local gym claimed that Boldenone equipoise made his delts more 3D than test alone. So that's actually what GH15 used to say on his boards. He used to say equipoise for the cap on the delts. You have to have a gram of equipoise for the cap on the delts in addition to everything else you're doing. I tried that, by the way. I used to have very cap delts when I was in my 22, 23. I had test, trend, everything else. Then I added the EQ, like he said, 1 gram. Delts didn't get more capped. The trend did do that, but the EQ didn't for me. But let me say theoretically, it might work because EQ could interfere. We've heard stories of it interfering with aromatization, so it could be like an AI to some degree. It also increases your androgen load, so you hold more glycogen. But what do you think about that, Bostin? First of all, did you notice this from EQ?
I've heard about EQ, which is really weird because I've actually heard this from a couple knowledgeable people, but they never were able to give me an explanation on it. They told me that EQ is the best drug for spot injections, for bringing up like the areas that you injected in. I've heard this from at least 3 people that are very knowledgeable. I never got the reason why. So maybe this guy that's bringing it up to us means that if you're shooting the EQ in your delts, maybe.
Interesting. I never heard that before. But did you notice that different compounds made your muscle look differently?
No, but Tren is by far my favorite.
No, you must notice that like if you take like primo, not all the muscles, but basically some muscles will make your shoulders more capped, and I mean some chemicals, and some will make you hold more like roundness. Like, don't you notice with growth hormone and tren you have round muscles?
I think that has to be true too, because a lot of women who take androgens and stuff, their shoulders blow up. You know?
Yeah, certainly. Okay, so
but honestly, Leo, I don't really have any like freaky body parts like that. I grow pretty evenly, you know. I never had anything where just like kept growing or some shit, you know.
Yeah, some people have like a random. I just have missing body parts. I didn't have anything even. No triceps. They don't grow. Although they're strong, but you look at the arm and you're like, but where's the muscle? There's no tricep there. How are you doing that exercise?
You ever try shooting them up or no?
No. But today I measured my arms because I felt bloated today. So I said, this will be interesting. Let me see. And they reached 18 again. They're at 18, but very fat arms. Very fat. This is like one of those 50-year-old ladies that has a fat arm. You know, those kind of.
Yeah. So when we first started doing the podcast, people send me screenshots, right? And they do like before and afters of you now versus then. Because me and you talk every week, I don't notice it. But then when they send me the photos, your neck got all bigger and shit. How much weight have you gained since we started the podcast?
Well, we started since we ever started, since the beginning. So since the beginning, I was 160 then, and probably I'm like 230 now or so.
Oh my god!
But I'm fat. You know, I wasn't fat then, so that's like 20 pounds of fat probably.
Yeah, but you look better now, though. Like you look healthier now.
I looked like a serial killer or like pedophile or something with long hair and very skinny. But I didn't mean to. I was like, oh, I'm changing my life. I used to have short hair. I'll grow my hair out, but I look really weird. I didn't realize.
Well, you were skinny as hell when you and Amin went on Dave's podcast.
Yeah, I got skinnier than that too.
Oh,
It got,
really?
it got, yeah, I got, because then I started fasting every month, and then I started losing crazy weight.
Do you feel better now, though?
No, that's an interesting question. So I always think better when I'm skinny. I think the brain works better when you have less blood, like the blood flow isn't so conserved in your body and maybe that or something to do with vascular structure. But there's something about feeling strong that I like. I don't like feeling weak, you
Yeah.
know. But there's another thing about being skinny is that you feel light, like you feel
Yeah. No, I get
energetic.
it. I got down to, I did DNP one time for a full month, and I went from 265 down to 221, and I was just real light on my feet.
Yeah, you feel that, and you have more energy. Exactly. Okay, so Origami Wizard asked something that I was curious about. He says, "Has Bostin ever tried DHT in a cycle? It's very uncommon, but given he has experimented with almost everything, I would love to know if he tried it."
It's funny. I have that drug in my
No
stash,
way.
but I've never used it. I have it ready to go, but I didn't research it enough to use it. And it's, uh, I'm sure one day I'll come by it and I'll be like, if I ever, when I get on dialysis, I'll go through my stash and I'll see it and I'll probably use it. I heard it's very good though. I heard it's very good.
So I'm very curious to know what it feels like mentally. I would try it. I would try, but does it have an ester attached to it, or is it like a suspension?
I don't know. It just said DHT on it. I don't know.
Yeah, if it's a suspension, I'd like to try it. That's very curious. Okay, so I'm a bit tired, so we'll just take like a couple left.
What time you been going to bed?
Now, usually around now. Yeah, but then
Dude, I don't know. You sometimes text me super late.
yeah, but then I wake up because of the baby. So I've been waking up, and recently, last couple of days, she's been waking up every hour to drink. She drinks so much, bro. She's huge. I have to show you. She's so big. She just keeps getting taller. It's like she's like my wife. My wife is 6 feet, so I guess she got her genes. So she's just her head is in the 99 percentile for her age.
Really?
Like
Wow.
there's nobody with a bigger head. Her head is so heavy. It's crazy. It's pretty exciting. Okay, we'll take one last one. So Randy said, "What is Boston's cruise protocol for his client bodybuilders? Does he add anything other than traditional HRT compounds? That he means when your clients go on cruises, do they just use tests or they use another compound at the same time?"
That's a good one. So I'll tell you what my clients cruise on. Competitors. This is my competitor cruise.
Hmm.
If somebody that competes, 300 test sip one time per week, half mg Arimidex twice a week, 20 mgs Nolvadex every day, 5,000 IU's HCG 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 IU growth hormone upon waking every day. For a non-competitor,
Hmm.
the cruise is the same exact thing, except I bring the test from 300 to 200.
By the way, you have people always shoot growth hormone in the morning if they shoot once,
No, I don't. On their cruise, when they're only doing 2 IU's, yes.
but when you raise the dose, do you split the injections?
Yeah, so I always rotate. I've noticed this helps a lot with my clients. I every 6 weeks the GH dose changes.
Uh,
It'll start off upon waking, then
mm,
I'll change it to pre-workout, then I'll change it to post-workout, then
mm.
I'll change it to prior to bed, and I'll always switch it up. But if they are taking like 8 IU's, Leo,
Yeah.
very rare. Actually, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 of my clients go at 8 IU's total. Most of them are like 4 to 6 max. Like usually it's like 3 to 6.
Uh.
But when they're in the 8, I have them split the dose.
Do you think those okay, last question before we get off. Do you think those old bodybuilders from the 90s that now say they used 8 IUs, but they're all asking each other like, "What did you use? What did you use? I heard you use this." But then they all answer the same thing, like Dorian said and others said 8.
Palumbo said he's never used more than 6 or whatever.
Yeah, I'm talking about Palumbo and Dorian exactly. They're because he was asking, and I noticed that. But then I'm like, okay, maybe Dorian used 8, but Palumbo didn't know what Dorian used, and he heard he
No,
used 8. So I think you'd use more.
I watched the interview of Dorian. He used a lot more. He admitted to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But he
would.
only used it on training days.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, some of these top guys that I've been speaking to recently, I realized they don't use, not all of them use that much, like I've been telling you privately.
Yeah, so I'm going to do an experiment from Anabolic Pharmacist where I'm already talking to him about it because I'm always a cheapo, but he's going to give me a good deal, obviously, because I bring him a lot of customers. But I'm going to try the Genotropin at 8 to 10 IU's for 3 months and compare that to 8 to 10 IUs of my best generic. I'm going to do the Genotropin for 12 weeks, 8 to 10 IUs, and then I'm going to switch over to my good generic for 8 to 12 weeks, and I'm going to see if I see a difference.
I feel like you should do it the reverse because the growth hormone works best longer in the line. So you might be tempted to think that the Chinese will work longer because you haven't been using it.
I'm on 3 generic right now.
But I do like the Genotropin. I gotta tell you, I think it's my favorite growth hormone overall. I used to think Norditropin was my favorite, but it's actually a harder pen to use.
He carries that too, right?
Yeah, he has Norditropin also.
The best GH I've ever used result wise, I'll have to admit, is Sizin. The 24.
Yeah, you've told me this, but it's very expensive.
It makes your skin. Everyone that's used it has the same issue with this. Their skin. My skin looks really good on that, but the Norditropin to me was easy. I used to get. Are they the 45 IU ones?
Yeah, they're too small.
Yeah, but I would just put I wouldn't use the insulin surgery. I just put my insulin surgery to pull it out.
That one you can, because that one I think is it doesn't oxidize quickly when it's exposed to air, but the Genotropin less so. But also, do you realize, Boston, that the dose, if you were a short child and you weighed 100 kg, 220 pounds, your dose of growth hormone would be 40 units every night or every other night. So it'd be the whole Genotropin pen. Yeah. So if you think in that regard, they're actually much smaller doses. You know what I mean? But anyway, okay, I'll let you be, brother. Hey,
yeah, definitely. What do you think is going to happen on that GH experiment?
I think you're gonna love the Genotropin. I think you're gonna realize that you hold less water. But the only thing I didn't want to say, but I'm just concerned because it does cause hyperfiltration of the kidney.
Dude, my kidneys aren't getting better. I'm doing everything I can, but I tell you what, I should show you all my natural supplements. I tried, man. I really did, man. I'm doing everything to this day to help, And Leo, I have no symptoms at all. So,
thank God, please.
I mean, isn't that weird? The doctor's never seen a person with a GFR of 9 that's like perfectly fine.
But you also never felt trenbolone rage. You're just like a very happy-go-lucky, resilient person naturally. God bless you with that. I'd probably be feeling like crap. I probably wouldn't be able to move, but you don't even notice it. Like you're not even totally aware that it's happening.
Yeah, no, like if I didn't get blood work, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, but that's scary, huh? That reminds the audience, everyone needs to do blood work,
Well, the only thing that was off was the ammonia taste.
But there could have been something way worse. Remember, 2 of the subscribers of the channel have liver cancer, which they just found out randomly. One of them found out, how? He was walking down the street and he bumped into like a post, and the post hit his liver and it hurt and he didn't know what happened. So he went to the hospital and they scanned his liver and he found out he had an adenoma tumor and it burst.
Oh my!
Like he had a huge tumor and it burst from just bumping into something. He had no idea.
Now, what happens with liver cancer? You get a transplant?
It has a very, very low survival rate. However, I'm very happy to say that one of the guys is recovering quite well. He had a lot of different treatments. There's a few treatments. They use drugs, chemical drugs, to try to kill but basically it usually spreads really quickly to your kidneys, to other parts of your body. My grandmother died of liver cancer, actually.
Oh wow!
Yeah, she never even drank.
It's better to have failed kidneys than liver cancer?
1,000 times.
Wow.
1,000 times. Yeah, and those guys got it from steroids, and they weren't like mega dosing or anything.
Well, I'll let you know next week when I get my results back from my heart test.
Oh, I'm very excited to hear about that. I bet you it'll be perfect. I bet you your heart will be perfect. We have nothing to worry about except kidneys, which will be great. I love that hat, by the way. It's good you brought it back. All right, so next week we're gonna have Dave Pulcinello on the show.
Yeah, we got him Thursday.
Very exciting, and we got to get your dad on.
Same damn going to the Tampa Bay Bucks opener.
What are the Bucks? Are they a football team?
Football with Tom Brady.
Oh, I don't even know who those guys. I only know the Broncos because I was in Colorado, and the Steelers. I lived in like top football cities, but I never been to a game.
Tampa won the Super Bowl last year. No,
I don't know anything about football. I don't even know how you guys watch it because it pauses people. I like the idea of it, like huge guys running into each other. This is cool, but when you watch the game, it's like I don't know what they're doing. They're throwing a ball. Because I grew up in Dubai, I don't understand.
You don't know the rules.
I don't know the rules, so I just see these 2 things. They're trying to throw it, but every time they throw it, there's some foul, and then everyone stops, and it's like a break.
That's because you're from a different country. I think.
Yeah. I missed out on that.
What do you guys use, like rugby?
No, they have soccer. They play soccer, which I think is a lame. I don't want to offend anyone in the audience, but I can't watch soccer either. I'm watching that. I'm like, there's no aggression in it. There's no, there's no intense. I mean, don't get upset, people. I know soccer's a cool sport.
How about hockey?
I hear hockey. I've never watched it, but I hear it's a very cool. Like they beat each other up on the.
Yeah, they allow them to fight. You might like that one.
Yeah. Now I'm watching MMA. I watch MMA every Saturday. I watch my wife is very into it. We watch it together, and I watch arm wrestling. That's enough for me.
Before we go, what did you think about the fight?
The Jake Paul one, man. What did you think about it?
I won 200.
You bet?
Yeah, I'm up $400 so far. I put $200 on both of Jake's fights, and he won. So I'm up 400. So I'm not complaining. I thought he won, but after the 4th round, I thought he was going to lose.
I have a lot of views on it. So first of all, you saw that pre-fight interview where he tried to be aggressive to Tyron, and then
people told me about it.
Yeah, so then Tyron basically accused him of being on steroids, and he got extremely awkward. Extremely. I watched it, I was like, okay, that's too obvious. Like, you can't do that. And he was like, you're on steroids, so you're yelling a lot. So after that, Jake stops yelling. He's like whispering the whole time. The rest of the interview, I'm like, what is going on? That's too obvious. Nobody. So apparently, Jake seems to be using stuff, which is interesting. The second thing, though, is I watched the fight. My impression, but which I checked with Mike Dolce today and Leben, was that I thought, and they agreed, I thought that Tyron, he was standing in this, he was like putting his hands up like this and low, like he had a low center of gravity.
Yes.
And his hands were up here, and he was like, he would sometimes get one punch in, then he would go right back to this kind of. So I thought it looked to me like a wrestler that doesn't know how to box, like he's just not used to it. Then the other thing, which is what Dolce said and Leben said, was that Tyron would go for that punch, but he would be scared to go in for the kill. Now, I thought some other people speculated maybe this was because Tyron wanted that second fight, and so he wanted Jake to beat him, so he could. But that doesn't really make sense to me, because if he beat Jake, Jake would still want that second fight more, right?
I wonder if he ended up getting the tattoo for the rematch.
He doesn't seem to want to get the tattoo. There's a lot of drama going on. But Jake, I watched the fight itself. I thought Jake did way better than Tyron.
Yeah, so you had Jake beating him, yeah.
For sure. I had maybe Jake didn't even lose except one round, like one round.
Yeah.
They gave him way too many rounds, I think.
Dude,
and
one judge had him winning.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, I don't know how they. That's crazy. But Jake was he's a tough guy. You got to give him credit. He's a tough fighter, and it was very cool. I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, I'm going to bet on the next one, too. I think he's going to fight that Tommy Fury guy.
I hope he doesn't stop, because he's threatened to retire already, but I hope he doesn't stop. Yeah, the Fury guy was lame, though. I watched that fight. It wasn't that interesting. You
think Jake could beat him?
Yeah, I feel like it. I don't think he was that good. I mean, he's from a family of boxers. He's been boxing probably his whole life. He wasn't that good.
I tell you what, I want to see that fight coming up, though. It was supposed to be in June, I think, or July, but now it's in November. His brother, Tyson Fury versus the black guy.
Yeah, so Tyson is fascinating, apparently. So he's like a 7-foot Irish gypsy, huh?
Yeah.
But you know that they're not like the normal gypsies. They're called travelers. They're actually Irish, but they like been moving around for 400 years. Anyway, those guys are very interesting.
His brother looks nothing like him.
That's what I was gonna say. That's why I was saying he's not that impressive. I'm comparing him to his brother, because I'm like, this guy.
You wouldn't even think they were brothers.
No, one guy looks like a model. The other one is like a giant from hell. Like, it's a completely different guy. Yeah. Anyway, okay, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good.
Bye.